Accept your fate. As mentioned before, hardship allows you to show your true character. So, embrace hardship. Love your fate. Embrace every single moment, even moments of hell. The chance of us existing is small, but here we are. The chances of that particular sperm fertilizing that particular egg were small. But here you are. You have already beaten seemingly insurmountable odds. Your existence is rare and beautiful, so even our suffering is rare and beautiful. Accepting your fate does not mean you're necessarily okay with bad things happening to you. It means you are accepting that struggling is a part of existing. We can use this to persevere because this gives us the courage to act. Loving and appreciating every minute shows us that we are not helpless. We are just experiencing what it means to exist. Don't complain. Either you persevere or you don't. Regardless, complaining does not necessarily tip the odds in your favor. Yes, feel emotions. Yes, confide in people. But do not tell yourself you will fail. Do not tell anyone else you will fail. Don't tell anyone that this specific struggle will be the end of you. Complaining, in fact, makes it harder to endure. Marcus argues that you can endure anything by thinking it's endurable. If you allow yourself to complain, you're defeating yourself. You may be able to get through something by complaining, but that will not leave your good nature intact. To exercise virtue in the face of adversity, we must have control over our own minds. Realize it's not the end of the world way harsh, but there's still a lesson here. Epictetus urges us to not take things personally. Things are not taken from you, but returned. After all, the entire universe existed before us and will exist after us. Likewise, we existed before our current struggle and will exist after it. In the final episode of BoJack Horseman, BoJack says, "Life's a bitch, and then you die, right?" Diane responds, "Sometimes. Sometimes life's a bitch, and then you keep living." We live despite and in spite of how much life sucks. Life won't always be suffering, but life is contingent on suffering. When we lose an opportunity, a loved one, or when life is just bad, the best thing to do is live virtuously no matter what. This difficulty will end. You will end. We can only control our response to that. Don't just sit there and take it. Seneca is reminding us that we have some control over our lives. By putting off action, we are allowing our suffering to have full control. By working towards ending our suffering, we are regaining control. Persevering is active. We don't persevere by shutting down until it's over. We persevere by responding rationally to our hardships. We persevere by determining the most virtuous course of action. Persevere immediately. Demand better. Don't just want better. When we are struggling, we may want to give up on ourselves. We may settle. We may get used to things being okay and give up on striving for a good life. This is unacceptable. Like we said, you can either persevere or stop. Either way, we are dying at some point. As Epictetus says, we can die ordinary if we choose to not persevere. Everything ends at some point, but there is power in the choice to persevere. A hardship can either end because we act to make it end, or we die. We have some control over when our suffering ends. We must demand that we get through this hardship. Clean your room a little. Ask for better treatment. Advocate for yourself and take care of yourself. We cannot get used to suffering. We can accept the existence of suffering, but we still have to fight against it. Do not become complacent. Stop torturing yourself. Perhaps our suffering is mostly self-inflicted. When difficulties arise, we sometimes take it personally. It's important to take accountability for actions that cause suffering, but you can do that without suffering. Instead of saying, "I lost my job because I'm lazy and stupid," you can say, "I lost my job because I did not meet the requirements for it." The difference between those two sentences is that one is reporting a judgment and the other is reporting a fact. We suffer less when we rationally map why things happen. Calling ourselves stupid for letting something happen does not solve the problem and makes us feel worse. Shit usually happens purely because shit happens. Taking it personally makes it harder to actively solve the problem. Recognizing that it is not 100% our fault can give us the courage to act. Use your resources. We enter fight or flight mode when it gets tough. However, the good thing about being humans is that we have the ability to be rational. Don't go into survival mode. Take a breath and remember you have the opportunity to outwardly show your virtue. Not everything needs a reaction. Moreover, not everything needs an immediate reaction. While persevering is active, you can still take time to decide what to do. Let it stew